Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth edition of the Guru Mantra podcast. And here is your Guru Charan Kumar. Today, we have a special student guest speaker, Ashmita Haldar, who scored 7 points in all the IB subject 2024 exam. Yes, you heard it right. 7 points in all the IB subjects and got a perfect score, 45 points. Ashmita, welcome to the Guru Mantra podcast and please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Ashmita and I, like sir mentioned, I took the IB diploma exams in May 2024 and I feel really grateful and honored to have received a score of 45 points. I am an incoming freshman at the National University of Singapore and I am about to study computer science. Apart from my passion for computer science, I am also very passionate about entrepreneurship and exploring how technology can impact areas across multiple areas across our lives. And in my free time, apart from just coding and keeping up with the latest tech news, you can find me reading, trying my hand at creative writing. I also enjoy drawing and listening to music and watching movies.
Okay, that's a brilliant introduction. Ashmita, first we are going to explore some of your TOK journey. Can you tell why are personal experience important when you select a TOK object for the exhibition?
Right. So, as per my understanding, TOK, which is theory of knowledge, the subject itself is based upon questioning the nature of knowledge and questioning like all sorts of um areas related to how we gain knowledge. So the subject kind of contemplates how we gain knowledge, from what sources, how credible is it, how do our pre-existing experiences, biases affect the knowledge and our interpretations of it. So my point is that the course is like designed to make the student question their own pre-existing beliefs and notions about knowledge, and a student's own opinions on knowledge will be reliant on one's personal experiences. Therefore, if when a student is selecting an object, if personal experiences are not involved in that, then the exhibition or the IA kind of risks becoming too generalized, and that will prevent you from scoring in the higher mark bands, because like I said, the subject is reliant on you inculcating your own personal experiences. So if you don't do that, then you won't score well. So yeah, like unless you choose objects which have like a personal connection to you, and it doesn't have to be like something you've used in daily life. It can even be like a concept, idea, or an article or a book that like genuinely intrigues you and got you thinking. Unless you show that, then in the exhibition you won't be showing an evaluation of your own thinking, so you won't score well, basically.
Wow, that's a good one. Ashmita, can you tell how students identify the correct TOK object according to the prompt to optimize for TOK exhibition? Could you add your personal experience?
Right. So, like I said, in the selection of the object, personal connection is important. It also doesn't have to be something, in the physical realm, that, like an object that you possess or something. It can be like a concept or like an article you read online or like an idea that intrigues you. Um, the So my IA prompt was, are some things unknowable? So I feel, so when I was going through the prompts, I feel like just kind of instead of just choosing the easiest prompt, just go for like the prompt that actually like intrigues you. Like my prompt, I think it's considered one of the harder prompts to answer, because it's a kind of, it can be vague. So like your interpretation of the prompt also is important. I'd suggest that look for a prompt that interests you, and then just think of objects or have that kind of get you thinking on this like train of thought. And yeah, the object also can't be too generalized. It has to kind of get you thinking, genuinely thinking deeply about how it is and what you think about it. So like I said, my prompt was, are some things unknowable? And I had three objects. The first was an article on the collapse of the Mayan civilization. The second was Graham's number, which is like an idea or a concept. And then there was this, and my third object was this pencil I have that, I really like and I always use it and I kind of consider it lucky. So even in my selection of these three objects, you can see that, the first two are like concepts and ideas and like articles that I found online. But they got me thinking and they intrigued me. And then the third one was like actually an object that I do have. So, and I'd say that in the exhibition, all of your paragraphs, like all of your objects, like they don't have to have the same conclusion. They can reveal different aspects or, different claims about the same prompt. So I'd suggest doing that. Just kind of break your prompt down into three separate interpretations, and you can use each of your objects to kind of highlight different areas of that. So like for my first object, the conclusion was that some things might be unknowable at one point of time, but then they can be knowable later on in the future, with advances in technology. My second one was some things are genuinely unknowable because we cannot, comprehend it. It's beyond our level of comprehension. And then the third one was like some things. I think that my conclusion for the third one was also that you can never truly know, and sometimes it depends on the individual to know if something is unknown. Anyway, so basically there's a lot of freedom that you can have. Just choose three objects that really get you thinking deeply about the prompt, and just go with it and get feedback from your supervisors and all.
Good. So, Ashmita, you got an A in TOK, which is not easy for everyone to achieve. Can you tell why is the presence of a well-written counterclaim is crucial for achieving A in the TOK essay?
So for the TOK essay, if you have a look at the rubric, so I'd say that for the TOK essay, you have to, analyze the rubric and like kind of know it inside out. So anyway, if you look at the rubric, then you'll see that there is a very big focus on evaluation and kind of reflection and like kind of seeing like all of the, so basically proving your claim, but also exploring like the shortcomings in that claim, like what assumptions does that claim have, and like what areas are there in which like the claim does not apply. So with a counterclaim, you are challenging these assumptions that your claim might be based on, and you're exploring the implications of it and whatnot. And this is exactly the kind of thinking that TOK is trying to cultivate in the IB students, right? Because kind of questioning your knowledge, reflecting on what you know. So a counterclaim, well-written counterclaim, basically does that. So so it is very important for achieving an A in the TOK essays, because see, the easy answer would be because that's what the rubric says. But the more nuanced answer would be that it shows to the examiner that you do have that level of thinking and reflection that TOK is trying to develop in you.
Agree. Because convincing a TOK examiner plays a very important role. Ashmita, next question. I have personally seen your TOK. I really appreciate your TOK structure. I still remember it. So can you tell why is the structure of the TOK essay is crucial? And can you tell how student effectively structure the essay for success to get an A?
Right. So I'd say a structure of a TOK essay is crucial. Actually, the biggest reason why the structure is important is because it helps lay out your argument logically. Like laying out your essay, in a proper structure and kind of laying down your arguments in a proper flow of logic makes it easier for yourself, your teachers, your peers, and your examiner to kind of make sense of what you're trying to prove. Because if your argument is all over the place, then the examiner will also not be able to understand what you're saying. So, you won't score well. So in terms of like the structure, there are actually many sample structures online. I'd suggest each student to kind of look at them individually, because for some students, like some structures work for some arguments, some don't. But for me, I basically just had like a conclusion, um and then basically for my first area of knowledge, so I had like the claim, the counterclaim, and then like a conclusion. And then I did the same for my second area of knowledge, and then the conclusion. So of course, in each of your claims, try to follow like the peel structure sort of, point, evidence, evaluation, and then linking it back to your essay prompt. So yeah, and also try to be concise, because again, if you're not concise, then it's easier for the examiner to just kind of misinterpret what you're saying. The entire point of the structure is that you kind of lay it out, one by one. So the examiner is able to pinpoint your logic, and they just kind of don't diverge in the wrong direction or misinterpret what you're saying and misunderstand, basically. So yeah, avoiding misunderstanding is very important.
Good. So now, Ashmita, let's go some of the question which talks about your personal struggles and then success. Could you discuss the most challenging part of your TOK and how you overcome it?
So, as far as I remember, I think the TOK exhibition, that still went relatively smoothly. I'd say the TOK essay was a bit more, harder for me in that regard. For my TOK exhibition, I just got feedback from my teachers. Some of my teachers also had like different opinions on my essay, on my exhibition, sorry. So I also had to inculcate all the kind of different feedback and kind of make sense of, and also had to kind of reflect on my own self, like what am I actually trying to say. So I had to take like some parts of feedback from one teacher and then some parts of feedback from another teacher to kind of refine my arguments. For the TOK essay, I remember sitting with the one of my teachers, Shriram sir, and I was just showing him my essay, and I was having a hard time because he was going through every single sentence in my essay, and he was like, "So what? Like, what does this mean? What does this imply?" And he was just encouraging me to tackle new angles of like whatever example I was giving. And he was just like kind of pointing out all the flaws and going like, this isn't going too deep, try to make your arguments more nuanced. And I was just like sitting there, and I was a bit frazzled, intimidated, because I was like, what am I supposed to do? But then I feel like that I'm also really grateful for that, because it was crucial for my success. Like, I don't think I could have gotten an A without that. I also remember sitting with my like TOK supervisor, Nidhi ma'am, making this part too long. I remember just like, getting the feedback, correcting it, going to her again, and then she was correcting it again, and it was just like a whole never-ending cycle. But again, I don't think I could have gotten an A without it. So definitely kind of reflecting on my own self, getting feedback from all the teachers, understanding that feedback, it was the most challenging part of my TOK essay journey. And I'd say how I overcame it was, just taking the time to sit down and kind of actually think, what is my teacher trying to say? I feel like a lot of students are like, I can't understand what the teacher is trying to say. I can't make sense of the feedback. I give up. A lot of students have that sort of mindset, but I'd say that, let go of that mindset. Just try to understand their point of logic, and then just go through the essay. Like I said, the other examiner and teachers also need to understand your essay, so getting feedback is very important.
Okay, good. So understanding the teacher's feedback and sit and reflect on your journey plays a very important role. Okay, Ashmita, can you tell 2 mistakes a DP student should avoid on their TOK journey?
If I were to think of 2 big mistakes, okay, one of them would definitely be kind of dismissing TOK as a subject with no logic. Because again, a lot of IB students, all across the globe think that TOK, they can't make sense of TOK. But I'd say that if you want to score well in TOK, then you have to kind of sit down and take the time to actually understand what TOK as a subject is trying to say. Because once you understand them, then all the criterias and importance of counterclaim, structure, etc., start to make sense. So definitely don't dismiss TOK as a subject with no logic. Actually participate in class discussions, and because class discussions are also, when the teacher poses your question, they are trying to develop that sort of TOK thinking that you need to demonstrate in your essays and exhibition. So definitely pay attention in class. Don't, just kind of dismiss the subject. That would be one. The second mistake would be, don't use ChatGPT or any highly generalized examples, please. Because even though it might, okay, you can definitely use ChatGPT to kind of, as a side tool, basically. Don't make ChatGPT write your essays for you. Don't make it craft your arguments for you. If you can use ChatGPT to kind of, improve your writing, because that's what I did. A lot of times I would use ChatGPT to kind of be like, oh, what's a good synonym for this phrase? Like, how can I shorten this phrase and just say it in like a one, good word? So you can definitely use, online tools and everything as, a supplement, but don't make them write your essays. Go for your own examples. Don't use examples that ChatGPT made for you. Do your own research. And if you kind of, again, bring that personal engagement and connection to your essays, that also kind of brings you to the higher mark band. So yeah, definitely don't rely on ChatGPT. Yeah.
That's a brilliant advice. Don't completely depend on the ChatGPT for TOK. Okay, so Ashmita, now let's dive into the episode 2 based on the mastering the extended essay. Now, you got an A in extended essay, which is not an easy one. So I want to know some of the journey on your extended essay. First, before we start, can you tell the topic which you selected for extended essay and your research question?
Right. So I did my extended essay in English, and my topic was, so basically what I did was I took two books. So one of them was The Namesake, and the second was The Souls of Black Folk. So these are two different texts and their authors are also from very different backgrounds. One is a Black American and the other is like an Indian American. Um, of double consciousness, and I kind of wanted to examine how that theme is represented in both the texts. So it was sort of like a compare and contrast type of essay, and yeah, it was basically evaluating like what are the similarities and what are the differences in the representation of that theme in both the texts.
Good. So Ashmita, what difficulty did students commonly encounter during the extended essay journey? And can you specifically tell how did you overcome that particular challenges?
Right. So there are many difficulties in the extended essay journey and management. A lot of students, kind of slack off and they leave the extended essay till like DP2 or the end of DP2, and that is like that is a big factor of stress, because towards the end, you have all of your other IAs also piling up, and it's just a mess. If you don't manage your time well, then your EE will be less likely to have good quality. So time management is one thing. Then there's also the part of not understanding the criteria. Because of not understanding the criteria, my EE journey towards the end was kind of a mess. I'll get into that story later on, but yeah, definitely understanding the criteria is very important. Choosing a topic that actually interests you and you won't get tired of, because again, you have to research for like the better part of 2 years on this one topic, and you have to write a very you have to kind of motivate yourself, and it's a very self-guided process. So if you don't understand your topic, or if you're not passionate about it, you're going to get sick of the EE and you're not going to enjoy it. It's going to be a very painful process. But definitely choose a topic that actually interests you. And again, another difficulty would be a lot of students don't choose an appropriate topic and they kind of overestimate their research skills. Like, I know the extended essay is a very cool opportunity to kind of research on your own, but I feel like at least at the start of DP1, a lot of students have a bit like over ambitious ideas, and it's good to be ambitious, definitely. Put yourself put yourself out of your comfort zone, but don't think that the E is going to be like some groundbreaking, you're going to discover like a new discovery and all. So kind of evaluate your own research skills, although you are going to develop them over the course of the EE. Kind of consult your teacher, talk to them about it, talk to them about your topic, and just kind of look at a topic that you can actually do and you can kind of push yourself to do. So for me, time management, how I kind of combated that was just like effective planning. I stuck to like the school deadlines, basically. I remember I finished the first draft of my EE like in the summer between DP1 and DP2, and then I took time in DP2 to just kind of revise on that first draft. um Choosing a topic that interests you, I was genuinely interested in my topic. That's all I can say. I really like the books, and the theme was also something that is really important to me. So I enjoyed my topic as well. And the topic was also appropriate. I knew that I could do like a proper investigation on it and I could score well on it. So that's why I went with it.
So that's time management plays a very important role, which I can see you got a A in extended essay, but very surprised to see extended essay in English and pursuing a career in computer science. Too extreme. Okay, that's a fantastic one. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ashmita, actually, extend essay is all about the critical thinking. Can you tell how extend essay help you to develop your critical thinking? Because that's important part. Extend essay, TOK, it's actually helping students critical thinking. And then how that critical thinking benefit you in other areas of life? Could you elaborate on this?
Right. So, the extended essay for a lot of IB students, it's like one of your first pieces of, formal academic writing. And it is very you have to be self-motivated for it. It's very self-guided. So the first component is like independent research. You have to do it yourself. Like your supervisor will help guide you. They will kind of push you towards like the right resources. They can be like, oh, you can look at this and that. They will give you feedback, but like at the end of the day, it's you have to do it on your own, right? So this independence, developing, the skill to do independent research, will develop, like you said, the kind of critical thinking that is required in university. A lot of students, go like, oh my God, a 4,000 word essay, that's crazy. But wait till you hear that actually people in university write 4,000 word essays in like weeks, like 1 week, 2 weeks. So they have like these kind of deadlines. So definitely, these skills will help you in university. And again, communication skills, presentation skills, because in university, you have to present academic writing and papers in a very formal manner, with your proper citations, references. And if you don't, inculcate all these references, then you can also get flagged for like academic misconduct, plagiarism, which are very serious topics. So the EE kind of gives a student a first glimpse of that. I feel like for me in the EE, even though, I really liked my topic, but obviously it wasn't easy. Like I remember just like sitting down with the two books. I read one book, I read each of the books completely, and then I read them all again. And I, took a pencil and I was annotating the entire book. Like if you look at my copies of the book right now, you'll see a lot of like tabs sticking out. Like I had to really put effort into reading the book again, kind of deep diving into it and kind of identifying myself all of the areas in which that theme, came up.
Okay, good. Your journey is really inspiration for everyone. Now, can you walk us through your planning process from the initial stage to the final draft of your English journey?
So, so the first stage in my journey, I'd say, would be actually identifying the topic and my research question. So we did that in DP1. Again, the school, kind of guided us through that. So I kind of relied on that guidance. So I chose my topic and my research question, and I finalized it. I don't fully remember, but I think I finalized it towards the end of DP1. I'd suggest, and then I planned that, I would spend that summer writing the first draft of my EE and, doing the research and all. So I definitely say that make a proper plan and start early. Definitely use that summer, even if you don't do your IAs or anything else, do write your EE in that summer. Of course, like EE and IAs would be ideal, but if not IAs, then EE, definitely do the EE. And our school also had a deadline for the first draft at the end of summer, so I also followed that. So yeah, I kind of planned out my whole structure. So first I was like, okay, I'm going to go through the two books, I'm going to annotate them, I'm going to lay out all of the points in which in the story when this theme came up. And then I sifted through all of them. I was like, okay, I'm going to include these. This is going to be my argument, and for my argument, I'm going to use these parts as evidence. So a lot of the structured planning was also done during the summer. So after that, I wrote it. It was very daunting, honestly. Like if you have like a blank Word doc, it's very kind of it is sort of scary to kind of start it. But I'd say that putting down something is better than putting down nothing. So don't be too much of a perfectionist about it at the start. Just like start writing, put something down. You will be changing it. You will be editing it. Your teacher will also give you feedback. So just like put down something. Just have something to start out as a base. So that is very important. Do that during the summer. Okay. And this is also self-guided. There is no shortcut to it. You have to kind of sit down and do the work for it. So definitely in the summer you have that time. So take advantage of that. So yeah, I finished my first draft at the end of the summer. And then I showed it to my teacher. We got feedback. We also worked on our reflections towards DP2. So for the most part, it was smooth. But then, and I thought I was on the right track, but then there was a big mishap that happened towards the end of DP2. So there were only like maybe like 2-3 months left until the final IBDP exams. Um, and basically my EE went for moderation. Like some of the other teachers were like looking at it, and then they called me to their office and they said that you have to rework a big part of your essay, because actually this is why I also say making sure you understand the criteria is important. Because even though my essay was like an English EE compare and contrast essay, I didn't really focus on the literary analysis aspect that much. I didn't have as many authorial choices. My essay was looking more like a sociology essay. So it was like a big shock to me, because I went through the most part of these 2 years thinking that I was on the right track, but suddenly I get the shock that I wasn't, and it was honestly very stressful. I was freaking out. I was completely freaking out. But then I was like, there isn't much time left until my exams. I really need to study. I really need to block out time to just study for the exams and do nothing else. So I was like, I'm going to give myself a week, and then in that week I regularly met up with my teachers, my supervisors. I went through my entire essay again. I went through all of my notes again, and I reworked a big part of my arguments. And then it was hard, honestly. Like, it was a very stressful time, but I'm really grateful that I got through it, and I'm glad that I got that shock, because I wouldn't have scored an A if with how my essay was before. So that's why I also say plan early, understand the criteria, because this definitely should not happen towards the end of your DP2 journey. So also talk to your teachers, get second opinions, third opinions. Yeah, just make sure you're actually very set and solid and don't leave this stuff to the end of DP2. So yeah, understanding the criteria and expectations of EE is very important. I got very lucky.
So
But I
it's
also had to put
really,
work into
it's
it.
really inspiration. My God. Okay, even I don't know this one. Okay, how much effort you have put in.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, okay, good. I can see the lot of on your road of extended journey. I can see a lot of painful thing. So now, from your journey, Ashmita, can you tell two common mistakes why a DP student should avoid in their extended journey? From your own experience, what you would advise a DP student? Okay, these two mistakes. Please don't do it.
Hmm. I'd say that putting off things till the last minute, procrastination. Procrastination is inevitable. Like, it happens to everyone. It also happens to me. It's something I still haven't completely fixed. It is inevitable, but I'd say that to try to combat it as much as possible. Try to just get started. Just take that one step. Just get something done on the Word doc, even if it's like not a lot of progress. Just like be like, okay, today I'm just going to do this much, that much. And oftentimes you see that once you actually get started, you get in the flow. So definitely just get started. Don't let procrastination kind of hinder you, and plan. And then so the first would be procrastination. The second mistake would be planning well. So plan out all of your, by when you're going to finish what task. Stick to your deadlines, because the deadlines are there to help you. Genuinely, the deadlines are there to help you, because if you don't, then you will have a lot of stress later on. So do rely on the guidance that the school is also giving you. Stick to your deadlines. Help those deadlines help you plan well.
Brilliant. Ashmita, okay, so very inspiration for your TOK and extended journey. Now, let's move on to the next set of certain questions. Ashmita, I want to know about what strategy and technique you use actually motivated while studying for the IB.
Yeah, so the IB, honestly, it wasn't easy. It was a very hard task for me, genuinely. I'd say that a big like strategy or technique that I used to stay motivated was just like knowing what you want at the end of these 2 years, and like why you want it. I remember, so after I got my score, like after I got the 45, I was going through some of like my old notebooks and like my old messages to friends and all that. And you can literally see me at the before 11th grade, in 2022. I was like, I'm just going to study these 2 years. I want a 45 and I want to get into this university. So, and it was like kind of really cathartic to see that, I manifested all of that basically. I was like, at the start of DP, I was like, I know what I want. This is what I want. And then I went ahead and got it. And it was just really, it was an amazing feeling. So yeah, definitely knowing what you want, why you're doing the IB, and what goal you have towards the end of it is a big motivator. Like even during your low moments, if you remind yourself of like why you're doing what you're doing, then it helps you, get back on track and helps give you like a sense of, the bigger picture that is there. Um, and then discipline is also very important. Like motivation will not always get you through every day, honestly. Like motivation is important, but it won't get you through, every single day. So discipline is very important. Make studying and working for the IB a routine. Just make it a routine. Because if it is a routine, if it is something that you do nevertheless, then you will develop that discipline. And honestly, in my opinion, I feel like discipline gets you farther than motivation does. So discipline, developing it, working for the IBA routine is very important. But also it suggests that kind of still take care of yourself. You won't, it's very unrealistic to think of yourself as like a machine who just like studies every day and all that. It is genuinely not possible. And you will also get burnt out if you think that way. Like burnout is very real. It's a very real thing. So
Brilliant.
another technique would be just kind of take that time, self-care, take care of yourself, get enough sleep, and at least once or twice a week take out time to just do like things you enjoy. Like it you make it part of your schedule, just like having fun, but like in moderation, of course. But take care of yourself, like take care of your soul, because otherwise you won't be able to survive IB very happily.
True words, fantastic. Okay, getting a 45 out of 45, you must have planned each and everything perfectly, which I can see all your insight. So, Ashmita, can you share the insight and effective study plan for the final board exam? How did you plan, okay, a study plan for the final board exam? Can you, all of us to go through it?
So for the final board exams, I'd say that what I did was I planned in advance. So I looked at the date. I had my first exam, and okay, maybe this is like way too paranoid of me to do. I feel like I'm a very like planner kind of paranoid person. But I literally had like a countdown on my laptop desktop, which was like these many days left until the IB exams, and it was just whenever I opened my laptop, that would just be in my face, and I would be like, oh no, it's coming. But yeah, leave enough time to just study for the exam and not worry about IAs, not worry about EEs or your other coursework. This is also why I say try to finish this, before you get to the final stretch. Realistically though, you will find that towards the end of DP2, a lot of teachers will be getting back to you on a lot of feedback. You will also see that will have things to do in regards to IA. You will have to work on feedback and everything. Just try to minimize that, and try to finish everything and leave like a month or 2 months just to study for the exam, because that is what I did. And I'd say that just studying with the exams in mind and not focusing on any other extra coursework you have to do, it is very helpful because it just gets rid of the unnecessary stress. So yeah, leave enough time to just study for your exams. And then so this should be in advance. And then the second thing I would suggest is go through everything. Like go through past papers. Past papers are very important. Past papers are like your, Bible. Just worship them. Do as many as you can, and drill in all of the kinds of questions you can answer. So, like for math and science, past papers is what you should be doing. If you have extra time, then you can look at other resources like Revision Village and all that. But that should be like a secondary thing. The main thing is you do all the past papers, because all of the IB exam questions will be like the past papers. That is your best reference. So past papers, number one, especially for math and science. For like social science subjects, and I had business management. So for that, you really need to understand the kind of like the structure of the answers you have to write. So for that also, past papers are also very important. Do attempt those papers, ask your teacher for feedback, kind of understand the kind of structure that you need to have in your answers to get like a scoring grade. um, and then apart from that, for the languages are also practice. Personally, I was practicing English essays and all. That's definitely what I did for English and language A. Read for paper For paper 1, practice. For paper 2, read through your books. Actually read the books. Don't go through Spark Notes and say that you know the plot. Please read the books. Yeah, and also practice is very important. For language B, I had Hindi. Hindi is personally something that I actually struggle with. Hindi has always been one of my worst subjects, but I really had to put in effort. Um, I'd say that the amount of effort I put in Hindi was equal to the amount of effort, almost equal to the amount of effort I put into math, AA, HL, and physics, which says something. But I did not want to get a 6 in Hindi. So I put in effort in the if you struggle in the languages, definitely. And practice, practice getting feedback, working on your skills and everything.
Really?
Yeah, so practice and past papers, that's what I
Using
said.
the past paper, that's a brilliant one. I would advise for everyone also. That's a good one. Okay, Ashmita, your last question before we end up. I know getting a 45 pointer and maintaining that 45 pointer throughout in your PG academic one, you must have dealt with a lot of pressure, which most of the students always a DP generally going to. Can you tell how do you deal with academic pressure and the personal pressure in the 2 years of the DP journey? How did you handle it?
So definitely there was a lot of pressure. There were a lot of expectations, from teachers, from peers, from family, even myself. But I feel like over the course of DP, the person who put the most pressure on myself was me. I was the one who put the most pressure on myself to do well. I'd say that a little bit of pressure is needed. It's healthy because it gets you in the right mindset. It actually kind of, like people say that being completely stress free is also a bad thing. Obviously, too much of stress is very bad, very detrimental. But a little bit of stress, little bit of pressure is needed to get you going. So I'd say that one big thing that I'd suggest is kind of just focus on you. Just listen to yourself and your own goals. The other people also have expectations from you, but try to keep that out of your mind, because at the end of the day, you're working to get that IB score for yourself, not for anyone else. This is especially true, like a lot of families, parents also put pressures on their kids. It's very hard to deal with that, but again, just focus on yourself, what you want, um, and just going with what your heart tells you and what you want to do. I'd also say that kind of don't let yourself get complacent at all. Like if at one point you're like, oh, I got a good grade in this subject, oh, I got a 7 in this subject, I don't have to worry about this, I can kind of I can give a little less time to it. I'd suggest still don't do that. Don't get too overconfident with what you're doing, because the moment you get complacent, things will start getting kind of bad. Also, don't compare yourself with others. It is easy to compare yourself with others and be like, oh, they got more than me, or a lot of times if you score better than everyone else, then sometimes in people you'll also feel a little overconfident. But don't, at the end of the day, you are running a race with yourself. You're competing with your own self and how you were in the past. So always just keep that focus on what you're doing. That is a very good, so putting that, kind of reorienting that pressure towards what you want and what you want from yourself, I feel is a very crucial thing if you want to score well.
Wow. Don't compare yourself with others. Not only for the DP, the entire life. Follow your art. Ashmita, it's a brilliant conversation with you about your success, and all your experience will be a lesson for many DP students. Not only that, the teachers who are joining newly to the IB also. And especially students who listen, who want to achieve a good grade of 45 points. This is a big inspiration. Ashmita, your final words.
My final words would be, well, IBDP is definitely not a easy task. Like even now, I feel really kind of grateful and I kind of astonished at myself that I managed to get through that, because it does take a lot out of you. But definitely there is light at the end of the tunnel. Once you're done with your exams and all your work and you get your grade, it might be something that you wanted. might be something you've expected, might be lower than what you expected, and might be higher than you expected. You might be happy, sad, or not feel anything about it, but you are, over the course of these 2 years, you will have grown in ways that you may or may not have realized. It is a very it is very impactful, and in some ways or the other you will have learned like lessons that you will carry through the rest of your life. So these 2 years are years of a lot of stress, a lot of workload and all, but it will set you up for success later in life. So yeah, it might seem really, really hard right now, because it is hard, but you will get past it. So all the best.
Wow. Audience, thank you for listening to the Guru Mantra podcast season 4 with your host Guru Charan Kumar. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into all the tips and tricks about the TOK and the external essay journey from Ashmita, who got a 45 point. If you enjoyed this episode, then please like the podcast, share it with the others, and please share it on your social media and leave a rating and review. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashmita.
Thank you, sir.